Hey everyone, Julie Heath here. So this is an updated video to 395, the one that I did before, because now I'm done and now I can explain it a little bit better. When I made that video, it was beginning of 395 and I honestly did not know what was to behold. I probably shouldn't have done it at the beginning of the semester. Anywho, here's the skinny. What does 395 entail? Here we go. So there is you have 395, and then you also have your NCLEX preparatory class, pretty much the same thing as you had in 366. However, there are components that you have to complete in order to graduate, so remember that when going through that course. And depending on how you did on the HESI, the exit HESI, it will kind of determine what requirements are in the NCLEX prep course. So you may have a few more, you may not. It really just depends on how you did. Okay, so 395 has three, possibly four big tests. Okay, you have the HESI A, which is in week 3, HESI B in week 10, and the CAT exam, which is week 14. Now, your homework for this course, at first you look at it and you're like, oh, I don't have any homework. This is going to be great. Woohoo. No, that is not the truth. I learned that lesson. Um, your homework for 395 is dependent on how you do on each test. On HESI A, how you do will determine how many case studies and quizzes that you will have to complete before the next test. Now, the first set of your case studies and quizzes, you have about, it's in week 3 and you have until week 10. So you have about 6 to 7 weeks to complete all of that work. Okay. So be smart. Time management is key. Spread it out over the couple of weeks so that you can make sure that you're getting it all done on time. It has to be done and turned in. You have to do a little snip. There's a little place where you can turn in that assignment where you say, I've completed this requirement, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you'll see. Then you have the HESI B in week 10. And a lot of the time, like myself, you will be at your IP during that time. It was not fun to take a HESI. I'm sure you all may or may not have experienced that already, but it's not fun taking a HESI in a hotel room. And there's a lot of different distractions and things going on. I'm pretty sure we had like a dust-nado right outside my hotel room. It was in the middle of nowhere in a valley, and there was a lot of wind. And this dust-nado, whatever, came out of nowhere, was so freaking loud and scared the crap out of me during my HESI. Anyway, so that was not fun either. I did not do as well as I'd hoped on either one, on my HESI A or my HESI B, and I ended up having a lot of case studies and quizzes to complete. And it made me feel so overwhelmed. I was also in 445, 465, and 485 this semester. So it kind of felt like I had 5 classes. It was a lot. It was a lot to maintain my grades. It was a lot to maintain my sanity. It was a lot. There were a lot of moments of breakdown. There were a lot of moments of emotional outbursts, a lot of which on my own in my bathroom, because I don't want anybody to see me like that. But it was hard. It was really hard. And I I pride myself in having really good time management and organizational skills, and it was super hard for me too. So I say all that not to scare you, but to hopefully prepare you in making sure that you plan out your time wisely and making sure that you take care of yourself as well. Because self care is very, very important through this last semester. There are going to be so many times when you're like, senioritis, what? Like, it's a thing, okay? You you will get senioritis at some point and be like, I want to be done. I can't wait until the last thing. Oh, it's so nice when it's done. But during it, you just got to keep going. You got to push yourself to the end and you will get there. I promise you, you will get there. Just keep going. Okay, so that's HESI A and HESI B. Then you take a breath because you turn that in. HESI, so from HESI B to the CAT exam is only about 4 weeks because it's week 10 to week 14. And it goes by fast. So don't take a break, even though you want to. I definitely took a break. I should not have. I was stressing at the end, trying to get everything done in time to turn it in before my CAT exam. Oh my word, it was so stressful. My poor family. But so I got it in, I got it done, but I did not do great. Like I didn't do my best because it was the last minute trying to get everything done and guaranteed I didn't learn very much going through it. It was just go do it, get it done, get it done. So, and honestly, it's review. It's like things you need to know, obviously, but it's review and it's meant to help you prepare to take the CAT. Okay. The CAT exam is a computer adaptive test, CAT. It's meant to mimic the NCLEX. And so if you pass the CAT exam, you are likely to pass the NCLEX. It's very similar in feel, the types of questions you get, how they structure it. Okay. So at the end of the CAT exam, they will give you a score and it goes into 3 different categories. And there's like a fail, which is like a not likely to pass. There's a middle zone, which is like approaching recommended. So you still things to learn, but you passed. And then there's a recommended, which is like you did a great job. Okay, so you will get your score, you will submit your score, same type of thing where you have a little snippet and you submit that. There are no case studies or quizzes, things like that after the CAT exam. As far as remediation, I passed. So I don't know if there is remediation or not for the CAT exam. If you fail, there may be some type of remediation for it. Or you may have to meet with the NCLEX coaches and go over information. So that is the CAT exam. And then remember I said there's a possible 4th exam. That's if you don't pass the HESI A, or if you don't have passed the HESI B, or if you don't pass the CAT exam. You can pass 2 and not pass 1. You can it's not like you have to fail all of them and then you take this. No, it's if you pass any of the HESI A, HESI B, or the CAT, then you have to take what's called the comprehensive exam. And that one is a very, very long exam. I believe it's 268 questions and it takes a very long time, but it's not proctored and you can take breaks and you can rest your brain. I think I took a break and I started out doing it and then I was like, this is too much. It's getting to be too long. So I took a break and I finished it the following day. So you're able to do things like that for the comprehensive. They want you to get at least an 80% on the comprehensive exam. Okay. So just do your best and work really hard and you can do it. And I don't know if there's like meet with the coaches or anything like that or remediation after that exam. I hadn't remember hearing anything about that, but not to say that there couldn't be. There may very well be, but I'm not sure about that piece. So I passed the CAT, thank God. But even that was stressful because I already, knowing I did not do well on a HESI A or HESI B, I internalized that. And I've been saying, don't internalize your failures, right? Don't internalize it, because then you will get down on yourself and be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't pass. Well, guess what? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you will. So don't give up. Don't internalize. Don't get down on yourself. You've come so far. Also, I know that they overload you with information at the beginning. You will have two very big webinars. Week 1 and week 2 are full of information. Make sure you go to those because it's very important information that you do need to know. I will say though, Slack, not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a huge help. I thought it was going to be like NCLEX coaches where they help you. You have questions. I didn't even use it, honestly. And that's not to say you can't. Your coach on Slack may be great. They may become your buddy, and that's awesome. But I didn't end up using it because I felt like there were too many things. And I ended up only using my NCLEX coaching or other resources that we have available. So it's there. You have to engage in Slack because a lot of our paperwork is in Slack as far as like the after you complete your HESI, you will have the HESI study plan information in Slack. And so you do have to engage in it. You do have to set it up for yourself. So don't not do it. I mean, still do it. But I just personally, I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. So there's that. So all you 395ers that are about to engage in this course, plan ahead. Make sure that you have good time management skills and good organizational skills. Use your planner. I know it's like, I'm a senior. I got this. I know what to do. Use your planner. I'm telling you, because they will add to it. Like, so after every HESI, even though you've done a good job and you passed and you're doing good, you probably will still have case studies and quizzes. So just keep that in mind that you will still have additional homework along the way. Okay. Then that's that. Okay. So IP, be patient, please. Be flexible. Things are not perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but nothing is ever perfect in nursing anyway, right? Things are always changing. You kind of have to go with the flow, adjust, pivot, be flexible. Flexibility. I've been preaching that from day one, and I will continue to preach that because it is the key to being successful. And you just have to be able and willing to adjust. If you are not something that is not bending and is trying to bend, you're going to break. So, it's going to break you if you are not flexible. So be flexible. For IP, you have 3 assignments that you have to turn in. One is at the beginning of IP. You will have paperwork to take with you to your IP, print it out. Okay. You don't want to get there and be like, uh-oh, I know I have to turn in my paperwork. I don't have a printer. Where am I going to find a printer? And you may or may not have one available to you at the hospital or at the location that you're at. So be smart and print out the paperwork ahead of time. Take all of it with you for all of the assignments. Print out the paperwork, put it in a folder, keep it in your backpack or wherever you take with you to your IP, and have your preceptor fill out the paperwork. You fill out the paperwork, all of that along the way. Okay. Your first one is going to be a pre-IP assignment where you have your preceptors sign a form. I'm hoping that will change at some point in time. Hoping. You'll have your preceptor sign a form. You will have, actually, they will fill out all of this information about their licensure and make sure that is completed. Make sure the state and the license number and the expiration date are all on that form. Otherwise, it's going to drop your grade until that is done. And then you return it in and then it'll go back to normal. So, and then, so you fill out the paperwork. There's a couple other forms. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but you want to make sure that they know what dates you're traveling. IP, you want to let them know what dates you're traveling, and what your schedule is going to look like. So that's pretty much it for the first one. The mid-IP assignment is going to be your time log. Now, your time log is kind of tricky, I know. What do we put on it? Well, your time. You don't want to put, you don't have to put exact minutes to minute, like clocked in at 6:30 and I clocked out at 7:15. You don't have to put that. You just put the number of hours that you worked and be specific. So, for example, if my shift started at 6:45 in the morning and I clocked out at 7:15 in the evening, I worked 12 and a half hours. Okay. Every minute counts when you're on site. We count breaks, we count lunch. Every minute that you're on the site at your IP counts towards your hours. So when you're going to fill out your log, you want to put 8.5 hours, 12.5 hours, because they count the lunch, right? From when you get there till when you leave, that counts. Also, you want to make sure that you put your onboarding hours in the log. That should be the very first line. Above the hours, just write onboarding, and then you put the number of hours. IP placements will provide you with the number of hours to put on your time log. So please don't forget to put that on there, and then have your preceptor sign off on it when you get there, okay? Because nobody can sign off on it when you're doing it online. So you want to make sure that your preceptor knows you had this number of hours and they'll sign off on it. Okay. Then in the mid assignment, you're going to go about 65 hours ish. And then once you get to that point, or like whatever makes sense, to be about halfway. Once you get to that point, you're going to, you don't need to total up your hours. You don't need to sign the form even. You just and make sure that all of the things you've already entered are initialed by yourself and by your preceptor, okay? Then you take a screenshot of it or a picture of it, turn it into a PDF document and submit that, okay? Also, the middle one, they're going to ask you like if you have any questions or that kind of stuff. Just read the instructions. Your last one is your post IP, and that's going to be your full time log. Everything should be totaled, signed by you and your preceptor, dated, initialed all along the side by you and your preceptor. Every single line should be initialed that you filled out. And then make sure the total is on there. It should equal at least 135 hours, okay? As far as your hours are concerned, one question that we constantly get is, can I have a secondary preceptor? So, for example, if you have your preceptor only works 2 or 3 days a week and you want to complete your hours faster, well, first of all, they say they do not want you to go over 48 hours in a rolling week. So, for example, I start my week on a Wednesday. My week from then on starts Wednesday and ends the following Tuesday, Okay, that's my rolling week. Don't complete more than 48 hours in a rolling week. So you have to go back to your schedule and say, okay, I want to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, 4 days in a row, or Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday. That's still within that rolling week. Okay. If for whatever reason your preceptor is not working in your rolling week and for 4 days, for example, or 5, depending on if you're doing 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever your shift is, you are able to get a secondary preceptor who is approved by the school. That is key. They have to be approved by the school. They have to be a Nightingale approved preceptor. And also your preceptor has to sign off on it. Okay. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go with this person. Your preceptor has to sign off on it. So, and on your time log, to make things simple, I don't believe you have to have your secondary preceptor sign off on it. You have to have your primary preceptor sign off on your hours. So they're still over your entire experience. They have to sign off on your hours. Okay. I am not 100% sure on that. They may have you have your secondary preceptor sign and your primary preceptor sign off on your hours. Maybe double check on that. But you are able to have a Nightingale approved secondary preceptor to help you finish your hours a little bit quicker. Okay. And then you have your evaluation of your preceptor and the site, and then your preceptor's evaluation of you. Now, don't take offense to whatever your preceptor says. Don't take offense to it. If they say anything, give constructive criticism, use it as that. Use it as a sounding board to where you can improve. Okay. Nobody is perfect. There will always be something to improve on. So don't take that and be like, I didn't do this well. Well, I mean, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But if they can see something that you can improve on, take that and run with it. Because honestly, when you get out into the world in nursing, nobody's going to sit you down and be like, hey, I saw this. Maybe you can improve on it. Unless you're in big trouble, then guaranteed somebody's going to sit you down. But a lot of the time you're on your own. And if somebody is there watching you and helping you to be successful and improve in your work, you want that. I want that. I want that constructive criticism because I want to be the best damn nurse I can be. So that's it for your IP assignments. If you have any questions along the way, you can always reach out to IP placements. There is an email address for urgent issues. I think it's ipalerts@nightingale.edu. Don't quote me on that. You can ask IP placements for that email, or maybe I'll look it up and put it down below. Anyway, there we go. All right. So when you're waiting for your IP placement, please be patient because it may or may not come in this semester. And I know that you're like, what? I know that would be very, very frustrating to hear. And but I promise you, they did not forget about you. If you don't get placed within the semester, it will delay you being able to take your NCLEX when you had hoped, but it will not delay your graduation. Okay. So even if you start your preceptorship at the end of the semester and you can't finish it, or you finish the hours, but you can't turn in the information until the following semester, even if that's the case, you will still be able to graduate. Okay. So that's not going to keep you from graduating. It will just delay your being able to take the NCLEX as soon as possible. Okay. Because it will delay your transcripts being sent and all that kind of stuff. All right. And also, please don't complain about where you're being sent unless it's a legit complaint. Don't be like, I don't want to go to a sniff. Well, guess what? You can learn anywhere. You can learn at a sniff, okay? Even if you've been an LVN for 20 years and you have worked in sniffs your whole career, awesome. That's great. So the point is, be willing to jump in and just get it done. Be willing to be flexible. These patients need you too, okay? They need you to be there and have a good attitude and be willing to take care of them in the way that they deserve. So just do your best, get it done, get through the hours. You can do it, okay? Okay. A few quick tips regarding travel. IP is not DFC. DFCs, you have your date, you have to be there on time in your scrubs. You have your instructor, you have your cohort, you have everybody with you. You get there and you meet people, blah, 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 right? No, no, no. This is not the same thing. There is flexibility, there is wiggle room, you are an adult and act your age. You are in charge basically of getting yourself there. You are in charge of your scheduling, of how your IP is going to go. So how it goes is basically IP sends you an email through Outlook and lets you know of your tentative location, tentative date. Not necessarily location as far as the actual place you'll be working, but location as in city and state. And then your tentative start date, which means the date that you can start, not the date that you have to start or the date that you will be starting. It is not a hard start date. Okay. Please remember that. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this piece of information. Your start date is a tentative start date when you can start. It does not mean that you have to show up on that day. You don't go out and buy your ticket, get your Airbnb, your rental car, all of that based on that date until you speak to your preceptor. Okay. All of the information regarding your preceptorship, your IP, is contingent upon your preceptor. Okay. You have to talk to your preceptor, get in touch with them, and ask them, what is your schedule like? What kind of schedule do you work? Do you work 8 hours? Do you work 10 hours, 12 hours? Do you typically work weekends? What date is good for you for me to start? This is the date that I've been given the okay to start on. Is that date okay with you? Or would you prefer we push it back a week? What's the date that you prefer to start? If they are like, well, it's kind of up to you, then you are fully capable of making that decision. You are able to start on your tentative start date. That's fine. I did. Actually, no, I take that back. I didn't. My tentative start date was June 16th. And I ended up starting June 18th because the CNO was not in or available on the date that I was going to be starting. And neither was my preceptor. So I was given the date of June 16th and I ended up starting 2 days later. So initially I reached out and was like, hey, what's your schedule like? Do you work 12 hours? Trying to get their schedule first, try to figure out if their schedule is all over the place. That's fine. At least figure out a start date. Okay. Once you figure out a start date, then that is your hard start date. Then you can start planning your trip. Okay. Please don't get any kind of travel anything until you have discussed your hard start date, because you will possibly lose out on a bunch of money if you are planning ahead of time without all of the information. So please do yourself this one favor and don't plan ahead of your hard start date until you understand what that date is. Until you've spoken to your preceptor and you both are in agreement that is the date that you will be there to start on. Okay. All right. After that, you should be good to go. Okay. You have all of the information, or at least most of the information. Please remember that not everybody's experience is going to be the same. My experience was amazing. I had an incredible experience. I loved my preceptor. Hi, and she was amazing, and the hospital was awesome, and the staff was great. They're all welcoming, and I learned so much. And so my experience may not be the same as yours. You may have a horrible experience, and I'm sorry to say that. That makes me feel horrible. I know other people who have had a horrible experience going through this process, and I feel for you. I advocate for you. I am on your team. I'm trying to help with making things change so that they're a little bit better. So my advice to you, though, is if something goes awry, if something does not go as planned, please reach out to whoever you can reach out to. Reach out to IP placements, reach out to IP alerts. Reach out to your strategist, reach out to your learner ambassador. If something is off, I'm not talking about before you get there. Before you get there, you're going to wait. You're going to have to be patient and wait for your placement to come, for your placement to be solidified and confirmed. It's not confirmed until they give you your preceptor's information. Okay. All right. So hopefully that's a little bit of help. I know part of that is like, oh, I don't want to do this. I know. Trust me. It is a rough process. The school is trying to make it a little bit more streamlined. Hopefully we'll make some headway on that. But good luck to you all. I know you're going to do an amazing job. Be the best Nightingale nurse that you can be. You represent our school. Represent us well. Okay. You represent all of the 6-something thousand people that are going through this program. So please represent us well. Do your best, and you'll do a great job. That's pretty much it for 395. It was rough. Okay. Not gonna lie, it was not a fun semester. It was very, very tough. So put on your big girl panties and you got it. Okay. You can do this. Okay. You will get to the end and you will have that huge sigh of relief because you finished. And now you have bigger and better and wonderful things ahead. So do your best. You can do it. And as always, flame forward.